Hi, welcome to Story Time with Dave Booker. I appreciate you being here. We're going to do the next chapter, but in case this is your first time reading or hearing this story, just kind of bring you up to speed. Rocky is out of town right now, getting his daughter introduced to his family in Wisconsin. And in the meantime, Talbot is acting sheriff. And he got a call a while back from the one of the foremen over at this place that's putting up some houses, land a farmer sold, and he's saying that there's stuff missing. There's a pallet of shingles and some two by fours and things are some stuff's missing. So Talbot's having to fix that, find out what's going on. And he's getting kind of curious because things aren't working out the way things are being said to him. So he's not too sure if somebody's running a scam or what. And he's also found out that the guy who owns the company that's putting in the building is Roger Corman, who basically got run out of town a while back for running some scams. And we're going to find out what's happening. So let's start with Investigation, Chapter 2, from Sheriff in a Small Town, Book 3, A New Sheriff. Great work, Joe. I think you've got something here. He looked over the notes where Joe had highlighted information on Corman's current business. Joe drummed his fingers on the desk. I can't figure out why he's operating here. Do you think he's trying to make a triumphant return? Talbot shook his head. I doubt it. I think he's trying to pull one over on us and use the town to get his revenge. He handed over the morning edition, and a quarter-page notice was the information on the new homes being built outside of town. It read as news, disguised as fast-fit sales. Opposite was a small section that... Sorry, hold on. It's going to be one of those days, huh? Opposite was a small section that told of the thefts at the building site. Talbot folded to a letter to the editor section where a concerned citizen was inquiring why no one has heard about the theft of some major items from the building site and what was the sheriff doing to capture the thief or thieves. Joe's face turned red as he read the letter. Talbot was a little concerned, but he said, "Easy, Joe. This is just the first salvo." "We aren't going to respond?" Talbot set the paper aside. "Best not to until we have more to go on. We do continual updates. We give information to whoever's behind this. If it's Corman, then the less he hears, the better. You and I both agree that no pallet was ever delivered. We can probably assume that the toolbox is either in the foreman's truck or hidden in the shack. My money's on the shack. It's in the top drawer of the office cabinet. When he pushed it in with his knee, he had to use a lot of pressure, which meant that the drawer was either heavy or stuck. With the sound of the wheels on the runner, I bet it was heavy." Joe looked at Talbot with admiration. Talbot opened up the yellow pages and was looking for a local general contractor. Picking up the phone, he called Ben Shaw. He had met Ben at church, and while not a close acquaintance, he at least knew of him. "Ben, this is Sheriff Talbot. Did you ever do any work for Roger Corman?" There was a frenzied cursing from the other end and the sound of the receiver being slammed hard. Talbot looked up with a wide, humorous eyes. "I think that's a yes." Within moments, a screech and slamming of a car door announced Ben had stopped by. "What's that bastard up to now?" Talbot indicated the chair that Joe had leapt out of when the door was kicked open. Ben sat down, shaking in anger. "That bastard still owes me $15,000 from over 5 years ago. Hell, he owes money to plenty of hardware stores and lumber yards. He got away with it because he'd give you a little bit when you made a fuss. Then he'd duck out of town until things simmered down. I even tried to sue him, but he always moves the date to some time when he knows I can't make it, and the court lets him do it. He must have paid off a hell of a lot of people, except the ones who worked for him." Joe handed over a cup of coffee since Ben was starting to calm down after having gotten all this off his chest. Talbot asked for a listing of any merchants Roger might have used in the past, plus any he might be able to use again. The list was long since Gorman had to cast a wide net to keep supplies coming. Second list of those he might be able to use again was pretty much shorter. Once done, Ben sat back and thought, let me get with a few other general contractors to see if they know him. They might give us a few more leads. Joe led him to the back office and sat him down at the extension with a pen, pad, and phone book. Joe came back to see Talbot struggling furiously. Looking over his shoulder, he saw Talbot was trying to work out Corman's game. When he paused, Joe offered his own thought. Maybe he places an order, gets a receipt, and then cancels before the stuff's delivered. Now he claims the stuff was stolen and files an insurance claim. Talbot shook his head. Without a delivery order and signature, it'd never get past the insurance inspection. They'd see that kind of fraud coming a mile away. It also doesn't make sense for him to buy land to have items sent to it when the foreman said no one's there to sign for it. What the hell is he trying to rip off? Himself? Joe made some fresh coffee and did a walk around town to clear his head. Outside the co-op, he listened to a few people talking about the robberies at the building site. Not good about these robberies. I got me some money invested in that site. And if it's going to be robbed blind, I'm going to lose all my investments. His friend shook his head. Yeah, me too. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but that guy promised to double my money once the home's sold. You can't build homes without lumber. With the sheriff out of town, I don't know what's to stop them from just keeping stealing. Joe cleared his throat and got their attention. Sheriff Stone is out of town, but Sheriff Talbot and Deputy Steckler are on duty and will get to the bottom of this. He walked off slightly upset, but with knowledge gained from listening. Corman was trying to steal from his investors. He burst into the office, excited by the new information he had gotten. He's got investors who paid for a piece of the development profits and would get paid twice what they invested when the homes sell. He's using their money to buy lumber and other things. I think that he's shipping the stuff to another site, selling it to another developer cheap, or Joe shrugged. Or else there's something else going on that I can't figure out. Joe was filling out pages of notes for the case file. Ben came into the office having been in the phone for over an hour. Sheriff, I think Deputy Steckler might be on the right tack. I've been talking to Phil Cancel over in Stony Point. It's about 25 minutes from Renville. He's been buying some of his materials from Dorman Construction. They said they're selling off the overbuys from a previous build. Talbot felt he had enough to call him the state auditor. He held the receiver in his hand as he continued thinking. Suddenly, as he picked it up, he put it back on the rest. Joe was staring open-mouthed. What's up? We got him cold. Make the call. Talbot shook his head. It's not time yet. We have him for some shady dealing, sure. What I want is where he's heading. I think he's trying to undermine the sheriff's office. I know he thinks it's a chance to get revenge on Rocky. He doesn't know that Rocky's out of town for the month, and it's us he's got to deal with. We can use that to our advantage and give him enough rope to hang himself with. So Joe was all for that. Ben also asked to be a part of what they were going to do. For a brief moment, Talbot had asked himself, how would Rocky handle this? Trouble was, it didn't matter. He wasn't Rocky. Rocky wasn't around. He wasn't going to call him up. He was the acting sheriff, and he better damn well act like the sheriff. Let's go out to that site again.